Hey everyone, Ed from Paranormal Inc. Ohio here. We're back at it again with another podcast episode. It's been a while since I've been on here. We've had some crazy things happen in the family, but I appreciate everybody's thoughts and prayers. People have reached out and asked how everything's going. So I now have some time to do a podcast. I wanted to do a podcast on something that it means a lot to me, is the Ouija board. I always say don't use the Ouija board. I'll always say don't use the Ouija board. And I'll always do anything I can to tell you about the Ouija board. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little bit of history of the Ouija board. Then I'm going to tell you a personal experience that I've had with the Ouija board. And, and some other things that has happened with the Ouija board throughout time. So, and it's a crazy thing. The Ouija board, also known as a Ouija or spirit board or talking board or a witch board, is a flat board marked with the letters of the Latin alphabet. The numbers 0 through 9, the words yes, no, and occasionally hello and goodbye, along with various symbols and graphics. It uses a planchette, a small heart-shaped piece of wood or plastic, as a movable indicator to spell out messages during a seance. Or if you're just, with other people. They always say not to use the Ouija board by yourself, and you're going to find out why soon. Participants place their fingers on the planchette, and it is moved about the board to spell out words. The name Ouija is a trademark of Hasbro, inherited from Parker Brothers, but is often used generically to refer to any talking board. The original Ouija board was patented in 1890. There's things that go way back that talk in medieval times and, even further back than that, during the times of Christ, where, I don't know how you want to say it. Spirit talkers back then, some religious groups back then would use such thing called a spirit board to try to communicate with the dead. But it became huge in the 20s. It actually was huge when it first came out. I mean, they made a ton of money off of it, and seances were huge back then, and it just took off like a rocket. Spiritualists in the United States believed that the dead were able to contact the living, and reportedly used a talking board very similar to the modern Ouija board at their camps in Ohio during 1886, with the intent of enabling faster communication with spirits. Following its commercial patent by businessman Elijah Bond, or Boond, being passed on February 10th, 1891, the Ouija board was regarded as an innocent parlor game unrelated to the occult, until American spiritualist Pearl Curran popularized its use as a diving tool during World War I. Paranormal and supernatural beliefs associated with the Ouija board have been criticized by the scientific community and are criticized as pseudoscience. The action of the board can be most easily explained by unconscious movements of those controlling the pointer. That's a huge word, guys. And I wrote this down, and even then when I wrote this down, I couldn't. Psychophological phenomenon known as the ideometer effect. Now, the ideometer effect is another way that people that just don't understand, if people don't understand something, they're going to try to explain it away in any way possible. I've done the paranormal. I've been in the field for many, many years. Since 2005, I became... I started my group. I've been researching the paranormal for all these years. I've been to a lot of haunted places, whether it be residual, demonic, or just a spirit that needs to move on. This all is real, and the Ouija board is a very real thing. Seances are very real. Wicca is very real. Dark magic, dark witchcraft is very real. This is all very real, but then people that don't understand it, or I wouldn't say don't understand it, they just don't want to understand it. It doesn't fit the norm, hence paranormal. They'll try to explain it away with some type of scientific explanation that our body is doing something that we just can't control, or we just or we just don't understand what's going on, or we psychologically don't know what's going on. So kind of like a Freudian slip, people always say you tell the truth when you're drunk or high because your ambitions are down and you just let things go freely. Kind of like that aspect of it. But mainstream Christian denominations, including Catholicism, have warned against the use of Ouija boards, considering their use in satanic practices. Yes, satanic practices use it. Non-satanic practices use it. Dark witchcraft uses it. Lightened witchcraft use it. Regular, normal people use it. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's evil and it's bad. My personal opinion of the Ouija board is it is bad. I know I just said it may necessarily not be bad, but in my circumstances with the Ouija board, everything that I have done with it, something bad has happened every single time. I cannot say that I have had a good experience with the Ouija board. Ever. Other people can. Now, I communicated with my aunt. I communicated with my grandmother. I communicated with just a random spirit. And nothing bad came out of it. That's awesome. I'm glad that they had that experience. But I believe that the Ouija board is like a key from the other side to get to our side. Is a key from the spirit world. And the spirit world is full of spirits, demons, that don't want to be there. And they want to attach themselves to something here to be on the other side. Demons hate us. They absolutely hate humanity because we live. We have life. They've never had that. Especially the fallen. The fallen angels from heaven. The original demons that followed Lucifer to try to overthrow God. They fell to earth. They became not perfect in God's eyes anymore. And they want to destroy us because God holds humanity so high. It's kind of like, oh, they're his favorite, So they're jealous. And they'll do anything and everything to try to get to us, whether it be on a Ouija board or, hell, you could do just about anything. You can go on a paranormal investigation and run into something evil or demonic. You just have to know what to do to try to protect yourself through that process. While other religious groups hold that they can lead to demonic possession, occultists, on the other hand, are divided on the issue, with some claiming it can be a tool for positive transformation, while others retaliate the warnings of many Christians and caution inexperienced users against it. I cannot tell you how much I can say that if you don't know what you're doing with the paranormal, it's almost like if you don't know how to drive a car, don't get in it and go on a high-speed chase. Don't get in it and go on a race. You don't know what you're doing. Same thing with the paranormal. If you don't know what you're doing, it can lead to very, very, very bad things that can connect to you. It can go after you. It can go after your family. It can go after people you love. Demons don't mess around. They don't care. They're not going to give you a warning. They're going to pretend that there's someone that you like. They're going to pretend anything to get you to go ahead and be like, oh, this is okay. I can do this. This is fine. There ain't nothing wrong with this person. This is a loved one. It's not. I'm telling you, demons will take the shape and will make you hear children like a child's voice. Because why? Because we hear a kid, we automatically think innocence. Oh my God, this poor kid, this poor child has passed on and is here alone. It could be. But 9 times out of 10, that is something demonic. That is a malevolent spirit trying to trick you. So we'll go farther into this. I mean, I found so much out about this, even things I didn't even know about the Ouija board, which I thought I did, like etymology. The popular belief that the word Ouija comes from the French oui and German ja, yes, words for yes, is a misconception. It is not true, in fact. The name was given from a word spelled out on the board when medium Helen Peters Nosworthy asked the board to name itself. When asked what the word meant, it responded, good luck. So, the Ouija board it's been around forever. Like I said, it was patented in the 1800s, and even before the patent, it was used, years before. And can it be good? My personal opinion on the Ouija boards is they're not good. They're a gateway to something evil. But that's just my opinion, because every time I've used one, something bad has happened. Like, very bad. Something tragically bad has happened. And like I said, other people have said, oh man, I've used it and everything went okay. I had a great time with it. And there's some people that still use it. Like, they've used it for years. One of the first mentions of the automatic writing method used in the Ouija board is found in China around 1100. That's what I'm saying. 1100 AD in historical documents of the Song dynasty. The method was known as Fuji. Planchette writing, the use of planchette writing as a sustainable means of necromancy and communication with the spirit world, and albeit under special rituals and supervisions, was a central practice of the Quanzhen school until it was forbidden by the Qing dynasty. I might have screwed that up. I probably meant Qing dynasty, so I apologize to anyone. I can't read words. And I know that sounds so stupid, but it's just true. Y'all know this. You've listened to my podcast. You understand. In talking boards, as a part of the spiritualist movement, mediums began to employ various means for communication with the dead. Following the American Civil War in the United States, mediums did significant business in allegedly allowing survivors to contact lost relatives. Use of talking boards was so common by 1886 that news reported the phenomenon taking over the spiritualist camps in Ohio. The Ouija was named in 1890 in Baltimore, Maryland by medium and spiritualist Helen Peters, which we just discussed. Charles Kennard, the founder of Kennard Novelty Company, claims to have invented the board with his business partner Elijah Boone, who patented it with help from his sister-in-law, spiritualist and medium Helen Peters Nosworthy. The local patent office at first refused a patent. Wait till you hear this, guys. This is crazy. Boone and Nosworthy then traveled to Washington, D.C., where they were also denied a patent until the chief patent officer asked the board to spell out his name, which none of them knew his name. Back then, they kept that all hush-hush. And then it did. It spelled his name. And in 1901, an employee of Boone, William Fold, took over the talking board. They won. I get so excited when I talk about this stuff. They won the patent after that. It scared that man so bad, he gave him a patent. So the talking board production went underway under the name Ouija. Lots of scientific investigation has been done to the Ouija board. The Ouija phenomenon is considered by the scientific community to be the result of the endometer response. We just talked about this. Michael Faraday first described this effect in 1853. While investigating table turning, various studies have been conducted recreating the effects of the Ouija board in the lab and showing that under laboratory conditions, the subjects were moving the planchette involuntarily. A 2012 study found that when answering yes or no questions, the Ouija use was significantly more accurate than guesswork, suggesting that it might draw on the unconscious mind. Skeptics have described the Ouija board users as operators. Some critics have noted that the messages ostensibly spelled out by spirits were similar to whatever was going through the minds of the subjects, according to Professor of Neurology Terence Hines in his book Pseudoscience and the Paranormal in 2003. This has one thing that he wrote as an excerpt. The planchette is guided by unconscious muscular exertions like those responsible for table movement. Nonetheless, in both cases, the illusion that the object, table, or planchette is moving under its own control is often extremely powerful and significant to convince many people that spirits are truly at work. The unconscious muscle movements respond for the moving tables and the Ouija board phenomenon seen at seances are examples of a class of phenomenon due to what psychologists call a dissociative state. A dissociative state is one in which consciousness is somehow divided or cut off from some aspects of the individual's normal cognitive, motor, or sensory functions. Some involuntary movements are known as automatism. Trust me, when I wrote this, guys, these words blew my mind. Okay, this correlates with the endometer phenomenon. Because both rely on unconscious movement, the difference is that the endometer phenomenon is based on the idea that just the idea that something can happen tricks the brain into doing it. For example, thinking about not moving the planchette leads to the possibility of the planchette moving, which then makes someone unconsciously move the planchette. Ouija boards were already criticized by scholars early on, being described in the 1927 journal as vestibule of primitive belief systems, and a con to part fools of their money. Another 1921 journal described reports of Ouija board findings as half-truths and suggested that their inclusion in national newspapers at the time lowered the national discourse overall. Religious responses, the Catholic Church, there's so many different denominations of the Christian faith, so many different forms of religion have backed the Ouija board. It's real. And that, a lot of these religions has called for the boards to be banned and warned that they were talking to demons when using the Ouija boards. In 1995 pastoral letter, the Dutch Reformed churches encouraged its communications to avoid Ouija boards, as it is a practice related to the occult. The Wisconsin Evangelical Lutheran Synod forbids its faithful from using Ouija boards as a violation of the Ten Commandments. In 2021, Ouija boards were burned in effigy in New Mexico by fundamentalist groups as symbols of witchcraft. Religious criticism has expressed beliefs that the Ouija board reveals information which should only be in God's hands, and thus is a tool of Satan. So, it goes back and forth. You got scientists saying it's not real, that it's just our minds playing tricks on us. You've got avid believers in faith saying that they're evil, that demonic things come from there. Then you have other people saying that good things come from there. The one thing that I can conclude from this is the Ouija board is real. Whether it is our unconscious movements, which I don't buy that, or it is something evil, or it is something good, the Ouija board is real. It's very real. It has been taught its use for many, many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. People still warn you of the Ouija board to this day. It is 2025. And a lot of things that were not okay, let's say in 1998, a lot of people are more open-minded. And the Ouija board is still taught as something evil. So you mean to tell me something that people are that scared of isn't real? It's just all in our minds, right? I know that I used the Ouija board one time. We, years ago, went to a abandoned house. We were young. We were in our teenage years. And it is the first time that I ever contacted this being, and I hope it's the last time. Well, it's not the first time I ever used the Ouija board. The first time I used the Ouija board, I contacted something so bad that it followed me for years and years, and I don't know if the second thing was the same thing or not, but we went to the house. We were just young, dumb kids. We wanted to see if the Ouija board would find anything in this house. We heard tales that the old abandoned house was haunted for years. We took the Ouija board in there and we used it. And my buddy had told me beforehand that he had gone in there and used the Ouija board before, and it contacted Zozo. I hate saying that name. It just instills fear into me. You go back to my older podcast. I did a podcast on Zozo, the history of Zozo, and my personal experience with the Ouija demon. And, but I was young, and I was like, you know what, cool, let's check it out. So I did it, and sure enough, man, it started doing that figure 8. The planchette did, and then Z-O-Z-O-Z-O-Z-O-Z-O-Z-O. And then we heard something upstairs. It was loud. Our radio, we had a boombox there. It had just cut out, died. And those were fresh batteries that we put in it. Fresh, big, fat D batteries. If you guys know what I'm talking about, you know. My buddy went upstairs and he was not scared of anything. This dude, I mean, even to this day, he's like that, but he has a better outlook on the paranormal now that he is kind of, you know, leery of it. But he was not scared of anything. He heard that noise and immediately ran upstairs, and he said there was a ladder that led into an attic, and when he got up there, he looked in and all he saw was a pair of eyes in the dark. Like the darkness was extra dark is what he said. And he said, all I could see was these eyes. And he said, Ed, it just rushed at me. And he ran past me, and he told me, get the out of here. Let's go, get out of here. I left the boombox, dude. I wasn't even caring about anything else, and we were gone. And when we were running through this field, it was through a cornfield. You had to go through a big cornfield, and you had to cross a bridge that had either been blown up or just fell apart. And you had to, you know, run through another field and you get to his house. And it really wasn't that far when we went to go there, but for some reason it just felt like hours. Like we were running for hours to get away from this thing. And the entire time we were running, it's like you could feel it was right behind you the entire time. Terrified me. Maybe on another podcast I'll tell you the other story of the Ouija board that I did, or my other ones that I did that were just all bad, and I don't know why I kept using it, but I haven't touched it since. And I'll tell you these stories, and it'll lead up to the story that makes me to where I never touch it again, ever. And I haven't for years, and I don't plan on touching it again. You know, you also have the case of Roland Doe. Thought he was talking to his deceased aunt, and it was a demon. You know, the whole movie The Exorcist is based after Roland Doe. You know, and I'll do a podcast on Roland Doe as well. I mean, I'll have to, because the Roland Doe story is so long, it'll be its own episode. But, you know, it just look it up. Bad experiences with the Ouija board. I mean, you can look it up on YouTube, but, you know, YouTube videos are like, it's hit and miss what's real and what's not. I have a YouTube channel, Paranormal Inc. Ohio. I put on there, you know, what is the truth, what I know is true, research and everything. I even do true crime on there. But a lot of people use it for, you know, just to get clicks or likes or whatever. But I know that some people that do that, they're messing around and they're, you know, trying to fake it to make it or whatever, and they get a hold of something that's really real. And you can look that up too. And YouTubers that mess with the wrong thing, and it just attaches. And demons are just, they're like a cancer. Once they attach to you, they just destroy you from the inside out, slowly. Demonic possession. I did a podcast on that as well. You should go back and listen to that as well. The stages of demonic possession. But I wanted to come back. It's been a long time since I did a podcast. I feel so good doing it. Tomorrow night, the episode will drop on YouTube about the history of the Ouija board. If you have your own Ouija board stories that you would like to tell on the podcast, or you don't want to tell it, you can send me the story of it and I'll tell it for you. Get a hold of me on paranormalincohio.com. Will take you to the main page. Send me a DM on there. Or you can send me an email, paranormalhelp937@gmail.com. Again, that is paranormalhelp937@gmail.com. Send me an email. Let me know your story, or we can get together on a time and I can get you in on a podcast episode. And you can tell your story, whether it be a Ouija board or any type of paranormal story that you have. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I really do. I love each and every single one of you. And I cannot wait to tell another podcast for you guys.